You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
CJ, the Painkiller.
Kevin Jackson.
So we need to start acting like a big boy football. It's time for the jet tax to die.
You're listening to Weapons Hot on Sports War Radio and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Darnold fires one into the end zone. It is caught. That's a jet touchdown.
And now here is your host, CJ, the Painkiller, Simone, and Kevin Jackson.
What's going on, Jets Nation? Welcome to another edition of Weapons Hot, a New York Jets fan broadcast here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Sports War Radio, Snowman Digital Media, and quite frankly, any place where you get your New York Jets fan broadcast fix. I'm your host, CJ the Painkiller D. Simone, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-pilot, my right-seater, one of my very best friends. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Kevin Jackson.
All right. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Weapons Hot broadcast. We get ready to get it popping tonight. Kind of a weird weekend again, I guess. Happy again for a win. Yeah, maybe. But obviously, because we're already out of the running for the number one pick, I guess every win is a good one right now. So I'm happy that we were able to pull it out. Obviously, there's some questions about how it is that we did it, and I'm sure we'll get into that in just a little while here. But the Jets win, man. As a Jets fan, what else could you want? Same.
Exactly. So, all right. And now, of course, it is time to introduce our very special guest here, our news and stats guy. Let's bring him in with some really special intro music tonight. Hopefully it actually works this time. So gotta love Groove, I tell you. I picked out something special this time for him because I just think it's just that. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the wingman, Mr. Jimmy Jardine.
What's up, guys? Thank you as always, CJ, for the intro. Kevin, pleasure to be back again. Love working with you guys, man. This is awesome. Kevin, I think you hit the nail on the head, brother. I think at this point, and I was one of the ones till the bitter end holding out hope for that number one pick. But I'll tell you what, there are three teams that I actively root against, and one of them is the Browns. So, like I was telling CJ offline, seeing Baker Mayfield's face at the end of that game, that was worth the number two pick for me. Okay. I'm happy.
So, all right. So, in a nutshell, just in case if everyone did not get the opportunity to watch the game today, Jets win their second in a row, beating the Cleveland Browns, or should I say the stripped-down version of the Cleveland Browns, because they basically ran out guys from the practice squad, and I think a couple of guys they picked up on the road on the bus ride over. 23-16. Sam Darnold went 16-32 for 175 yards. He actually had some solid rushing today, 7 rushes for 20 yards, as long as it was an 11-yard scamper. And you know what? Big goose egg, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, although he did throw a couple of balls that, quite frankly, should have been intercepted.
Yeah.
But thankfully enough, they were not. He did make a few critical mistakes, in my opinion, in this game, but did enough to get the Jets a win. Also, I tell you a little razzle-dazzle on the Jets' first touchdown, in which Darnold goes and hands the ball off to Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson flips it to Jamison Crowder, who channeled his days back at Duke and hit a wide-open Braxton Berrios for a touchdown. Beautiful razzle-dazzle play. And quite frankly, gave me a little bit of optimism for the game. But ladies and gentlemen, also I want to say the New York Jets at one point led this game 20-3. Yeah. So, again, the Cleveland Browns being as stripped down as they were, with Baker Mayfield relying mostly on the tight ends and the running backs to carry a lot of the receiving load, Jets did enough to get the win. Yeah. So, and at this point, They've already locked up the number 2 overall pick in next year's draft. So that has already been put to bed. So, gentlemen, we're going to go around the room. Kevin, I'm very interested to hear your takeaways from this game. What did you see? And what were your thoughts overall? And then, obviously, we're going to turn the mic over to Jimmy because I'm very curious to hear what he has to say. So, take it away, my brother.
Yeah, no, I'm going to start with something that I really hope is not an outlandish take or not something that the folks are going to question, but Sam Darnold still really didn't play well enough for us to think that and consider that he's going to be the answer for what it is that we need to do here. So, yeah, we got the win, but anyone believing that, maybe we should look at this number 2 pick and say, okay, well, let's get an offensive lineman instead of getting a quarterback, I think is misguided at this point. I still, I want to give props to Sam because, I mean, he played well. And in a perfect world, he played well enough for us to solidify at least the first or maybe at least a second round pick back in compensation for when we trade him, which is really what it is that I think, or at least I hope, and I know I'm probably going to get some drama about this because I know a lot of my guys are Sam guys. Because I was a Sam guy in particular, I really hoped that he was going to be who it is that we would have as our franchise quarterback going forward, but he hasn't played well enough to solidify that moniker, to solidify that position. So look, it was a good win against a depleted team. Again, we can't discuss that enough because he was basically throwing to bus boys and guys that were working at the car wash and working at Waffle House before this. So the fact of the matter is that we still didn't play well enough to really decisively win against a team who was having as many difficulties as they were having. So look, I'm thankful for the win. Again, I guess this league is the numbers can say what it is that they must, but a win is a win and a loss is a loss, and we won today, and I'm happy about that because I guess we were already coming to grips with the fact that the first overall pick is not going to be ours. We've solidified the second pick with the win today because there's no way on God's green earth that the Jaguars win any more games and doesn't put us in a position to actually leapfrog them into that spot. So I'm looking forward right now to, and I don't know if this is far-fetched, but I'm looking forward to us putting the wood to the Pats next week because if nothing else, I would like us to go out with a bang. And as much as I actually hate now I almost cursed, excuse me, as much as I hate the Pats, I fucking hate the Patriots. I want us to run base them next week. I want Sam to go out on a high note, 7 touchdowns, 100 yards rushing. You know what I'm saying? We'll talk. We were making jokes about this earlier, just because Frank Gore is still our feature back. But he averaged another 3.1 or 3.2 yards a carry was it against us? I know it's close to that. Excuse me. But they were making a big deal about how he was getting close to Walter Payton's record, 16,732 yards, if my numbers are correct in that. And I have to believe that Adam Gase spent the entire season trying to get him there because that's just what it seemed like to me. But again, that 3.8 yards or 3.5 yards per carry is not going to do it. And as much as I love Frank Gore, I was seeing this all day today. And I don't think that I'm really not sure if I know anybody else that has this that doesn't have this same take. But I'll be happy when he's gone. I'll just be honest with you. I'm thankful for what it is that he's done this year. But the fact of the matter is that when Frank Gore is gone, we actually can see what it is that we have in the guys that are going to be here for the future. So, look, good game, good win. But as of right now, so what, man? Let's the season's done. I hope Joe Douglas has a plan for what it is that he's going to do with these draft picks coming up. I also hope that behind the scenes that we actually have a suitor for Sam Darnold that's going to put us in position to actually add to the draft capital that we have going forward, especially when we have as much in free agency as well that we're going to be able to do. So, Jimmy, man, I know I'm long-winded, bro. I'm going to go ahead and let you in because right now, what else do we have?
I completely agree. I think that at this point, and I was a holdout till the bitter end for wanting that number 1 pick. And I mean, even still in the back of my brain, man, I'm like, well, maybe the Jags don't want Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it's possible. Like I'll point you back to the Blake Bortles draft when they had Bridgewater right there. So I mean, strange things have happened. I'm just saying. At this point, my takeaways from the game is: could it be that we have a defensive coach that'll survive the purge? Let's talk about Frank Bush for a second. I'm liking that. I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Quinnen Williams out for the the remaining few games, but all hopes and thoughts and stuff over to him for speedy recovery. Those neck injuries and concussions, that's no joke. But I think Frank Bush, Kevin Robbins actually posted something on Facebook about, is Frank Bush play calling the defense better than Greg Williams? And I was like, absolutely, 100% he is. Had a rough time in Seattle, but I mean, that was his first game on running his system. So I think he's done a great job. Moving over to the offensive side of the ball, didn't really see a whole lot. At this point, that Crowder touchdown pass, I think, shows where we are at this stage of the game. And I just think that it's, at this point, they're just like, yeah, do it, whatever. Trick play? Yeah, why not? Yeah. Let's go.
Did they open up the offense now because Adam Gase knows that he's going to be fired? He's got these next couple of weeks to actually maybe have a little fun. Who knows? Too little, too late now.
He's got to know it, man. Like I think he was kissing ass on Chris Johnson with the whole, he's such a great guy to work for. Come on, man. Don't be that guy. Why don't you just give him an apple too on your way out of class? Get the fuck out of here. But I think we saw about the ceiling that we can expect from Sam Darnold, because like Daniel Kelly said a couple weeks ago, if puppy don't bite, they're probably not going to bite when they're a big dog. Right. So I just think that Sam will have the ability. The fact of the matter is he needs to sit. Sam needs to sit behind a vet for a year, even 2 years, because even if they sat him for 2 years behind somebody like a Matt Ryan or a Drew Brees, he's still going to be 25 when they call him up. So he needs to sit and learn. He wasn't ready to come out of college. He only played 27 games. And USC, just like Ohio State, is a very system-driven thing. He wasn't ready, and I think he just bit off more than he could chew, especially coming into the Jets organization that at the time we're not in as absolute disarray as we were in 2018.
Yeah.
But for Sam Darnold coming into this organization at that time, it was just doomed to fail. I didn't want him. I wanted Saquon Barkley. Thank God that didn't happen. But
Jimmy, give me a second here. All right, I gotta scroll through some of these comments because some of these comments have already, especially one person in particular who's about to catch my ire, and I'm sure he's probably over there laughing. So don't worry, I'm gonna get to you in a second, shithead. Okay. So, all right. Shout out to Alex Navas. Trade Darnold and trade the second pick. No. Let's not worry about trading Darnold right now. Let's not worry about trading the second overall pick. How about we do the first thing and not be like the typical Jets fan base? Okay, let's try and use our brain instead of using our ass. Okay, because as a Jets fan, when you use your ass, that's why everybody makes fun of us. Okay, so let's use our brains. Let's take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale. Okay, just like that. Okay. How about we do the smart thing right now and get rid of fucking Adam Gase first, okay? Before we think about the draft, before we think about who we're going to get or what's going to happen or who we're going to draft or who's going to come this or what free agent are we going to sign, let's do the obvious thing right now, which is probably the most uncertain thing that the New York Jets still have to get done that a lot of people are not really paying attention to, because they think it's a foregone conclusion that this is going to happen, but it's not, okay? Adam Gase needs to be fired, plain and simple. And until that comes across the ticker on ESPN News and ESPN New York and every other fucking outlet out there, okay, where it says Adam Gase has been fired by the New York Jets, okay, that's when we could all breathe a sigh of relief. And then you could start talking about the draft. And then you could start talking about the shiny new toys we could potentially pick up in free agency. Okay, don't be that guy, Alex. I love you to death, but don't be that guy, please. Okay, Eddie Delgado. Shout out to Chapo. If it's brown, flush it down. Of course, not our fault. You can't throw a mask on. Alex Navas also chiming back in. Sam played well against Scrubs. Yeah, no shit. We already talked about that. Declan Krogman, who I actually invited to come on, he says, hey, CJ, I would like to just send my deepest condolences for the Jets' loss of Trevor Lawrence. And he does the prayer hands.
He wasn't ours yet, though. That's the thing.
Right. He wasn't ours, so I wouldn't say anything. So Eddie Delgado, shout out to Kevin Jackson over here. I would give anyone the shoulder for Spotty's cookies. Okay. So Chapo also chiming back in saying Jack's using Glennon solidified the number 1 overall pick. Maybe yes, maybe no, but you know what? I mean, the Jags fell asleep in the second half because you know what? It was 10-10 going into halftime.
Glennon was actually doing pretty good,
right,
in that first half.
So I think so now here's the
same level.
Here's the person who's going to get my ire, Mr. Ryan Thomas, host of the Thomas Take podcast, a good friend of the show who loves to come on, resident Buffalo Bills homer. Okay, chimes in with, the Jets didn't deserve Trevor Lawrence, and they barely deserve Sam Darnold. Fire Gase, move on, and bring in Eric Bieniemy. I agree with you with half that statement. Yeah. Yes, fire Gase, move on, bring in Eric Bieniemy or whoever it is that Joe Douglas feels is going to be the best head football coach, in his opinion, to take the reins. But the Jets don't fucking deserve Trevor Lawrence? Really? I mean, stop it, Ryan. Stop it. I know that the Bills clinched the AFC East, and you're feeling yourself a little bit, and you're like, ooh, the Bills, ooh. But stop it, okay? Stop it. There was no guarantee that Trevor Lawrence was coming to the New York Jets anyway. And if the New York Jets don't deserve Trevor Lawrence, then who does? Grab yourself by the nutsack and put in the comments who you think deserves Trevor Lawrence. Otherwise, don't be that guy, please. I love you to death, but don't be that guy.
I just want to touch on this because I'll be honest with you. I flirted with that same, kind of a take at one point. And I'm thinking it's not necessarily about deserve, but as an organization, are we really ready to have a Trevor Lawrence? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to say deserving isn't one thing, because as a Jets fan for as long as I've been, and there's a lot of gray in this beard specifically because of these damn Jets, but to say that we don't deserve to have a player like that on this organization, I don't believe in that. I'm just thinking organizationally, we may not be ready. And the problem that I have is that we're not going to have another opportunity to have a player of this caliber, at least based on what it is that we see. We don't know just quite yet. Some of these guys that are coming out, and again, in watching the Wilson film and watching the Fields film and watching some of these other guys, these guys are talented quarterbacks. I mean, they have the ability to step in and be able to make plays and do things that are outside of maybe what it is that we have had success with here. And the fact of the matter is that no one saw Josh Allen coming, and Josh Allen's a damn MVP candidate. So let's think about that. I thought the dude was the scrub, and I had to backtrack on that because I was like, yo, Josh Allen, what? You're actually considering Josh Allen? And I'm going to Wyoming. I was giving the screws to Ryan. I was pushing him.
Listen, we were all doing that. But
look at the kid now.
Here's the thing, okay? The reason why the kid is successful is why? Because the Buffalo Bills went out and spent $60+ million on a fucking offensive line for this kid to be productive.
Exactly.
Without that offensive line, this kid has got similar numbers than Sam Darnold. Let's not fucking kid ourselves.
That's making my point, though. Because as an organization, are we ready to be able to put the pieces necessary around this kid for him to be good enough to succeed? Now, look, as of right now, I love Joe Douglas. I love what he's done. But the jury is still out on Joe Douglas as of right now. Joe Douglas has made some questionable decisions, and I think it's rational for me to sit back and say, you know what, we might, but I'm not sure, and I'm definitely not putting all of my eggs in one basket saying that it's already done. There's no way I can actually do that because it's only been one season. We thought Idzik might have had something when he had all of them picks, or when he stockpiled all of them picks, and then all of them ended up going to shit. So I don't want to just immediately say we have the guy. I hope that we have the guy. I believe in what it is that he's done, but I also have some questions, and we don't know exactly who he is just yet because he hasn't established a track record of doing it here with us. So yeah, look, I give him the points. I think it's a little outlandish. I think it's a little wild to say that we don't deserve, and that's that Jeremy Schaap shit. That's going back to that. And you know, I fucking don't. I don't. And we very, very, outspokenly denounce that bullshit Jeremy Schaap was talking about. So I'm not going to go there with that. But are we ready organizationally? That's the one thing that I'm worried about. I don't think it's not about deserving anything. I just hope that we put ourselves in a position to support any quarterback that we put in that spot. We haven't even done that with Sam yet.
I think I have a plan. I know we're not talking about it tonight, but I have, if they follow my draft plan and free agency plan, yes, we are in a position to put Trevor Lawrence on the field and may have him be successful immediately. As far as deserving, I mean, if it's not that the organization deserves or doesn't deserve the player, we do.
Yeah.
The fans do.
Facts.
This team has put me through hell and all year, and the first half of the year, every season, is they destroy week after week my hopes and dreams for playoffs. And then as soon as that dream is yanked away and we see some light at the end of the tunnel and we see that the God image of Trevor Lawrence like coming out of the mist in that light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
As soon as we're there, the Jets detonate that tunnel and bury us alive.
Right. So sick.
But listen, okay, and like, look, I got to address this because Ryan chimed back in with a couple other comments here, and then a couple of other people chimed in. I want to get their comments on the air as well. Gase had no business being hired, and they failed Sam Darnold. Yeah, no shit. Tell me something we haven't already discussed countless times on this show. Okay, and then another one is CJ DeSimone. You know it's true. They didn't deserve him nor need him. He doesn't solve all of their problems. They replaced Darnold with Lawrence, and they have the same problem: a young quarterback that they can't support.
Nope.
Yes and no.
Disagree.
Okay. See, I agree with that statement for a little bit if they stay with the current structure.
Correct.
But I disagree with that because although we don't know if Gase is getting fired, we don't know that Gase isn't getting fired. And the bottom line is that any head coach that comes here is going to make the decision whether he wants to run with Sam Darnold or whether he wants to pick his own guy. And that's going to be determinant of what the New York Jets are going to use the number 2 pick on. Because if we go and we hire a Joe Brady, or we hire a Matt Campbell, or we hire a Pat Fitzgerald, or we hire an Eric Bieniemy, and they say, I don't want to work with Sam Darnold, I want my own guy, and say that person is Zach Jones, or the other, the dude from freaking Alabama, Zach
Mac
Martin.
Jones.
Mac
Jones and
Mac
Zach
Jones.
Wilson from BYU.
Okay. So what if he wants to work with Kyle Trask? What if he wants to work with Justin Fields? Okay. What if there's another name that nobody's ever heard of that he wants to work with? Okay. That's where that number 2 pick is going. Mm-hmm. So to Ryan's point, I can understand his myopic point of view looking at it from 30,000 feet. But here's the thing. You don't study this team day in and day out like we do. You don't know how much of a shit show of an organization this is. You can laugh because because your Bills are doing really, really well, and we give you props for that in clinching the AFC East. Congratulations to you and all that good stuff.
We still have a Super Bowl win.
But here's the thing. You can't sit here and say that the Jets don't deserve – if the Jets were to retain Adam Gase, then your statement becomes plausible because then the Jets don't deserve Trevor Lawrence. Because then they're going to fuck up Trevor Lawrence the same way they fucked up Adam Gase. They fucked up Sam Darnold.
Worse.
Okay?
Worse.
Exactly. So now here's the thing. If they go and they hire a Bieniemy or they hire a Joe Brady or they hire a Matt Campbell, how are they going to ruin Trevor Lawrence? So where's the basis? Your basis for your statement is based on the current coaching staff and the current regime as it is now. So we don't know what's going to happen. We're not going to know what's going to happen until January 4th, Black Monday. Okay? So either way, there is still clown comment, bro. All right. So Arnaldo Ray Ferraro, the real situation is that we don't have a true identity or scheme. Until we figure that out, we will go to the same turnstile. And completely agree. This is the reason why we want to get rid of the jackass pushing the button.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So now, Sergeant Robert Williams, shout out to him. That's my boy from Satellite Pharmacy. So how about them Steelers? Y'all almost blew that game today. So, I know a W. So I know a dub is still a dub, but y'all was sweating straight down the stretch right there.
We're talking about how about them Steelers. Talk about how a possible landing spot for Sam next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So now, Arnaldo Ray Ferraro chiming back in. We need a true coach and give him true control to do the grocery shopping. I completely understand with that. I love what Tennessee has done. We do too.
Yeah, I know about the
shout out to Kevin Jackson. He said, "What good, Kev?" Exactly. The new coach needs to sink or swim with his own guy. Lino Cortina chiming in. Shout out to him. We're locked in with the number 2. We're locked in with the number 2 pick. Bum ass Gase should be fired tomorrow morning without hesitation. End of discussion.
It's
no argument here, bro.
Look, he should have been.
No argument here.
And now it becomes that little nagging conversation like who do we replace him with for the last game. I'm telling you right now, just give Brandboy the run. Give it to Brandboy. Look, you got the head coaching spot. You're the interim head coach for the rest of the season. Go ahead, make it work.
It's just a matter of the cash. The fact of the matter is, until the end of the league year of 2020, we are still paying Bowles and we are still paying Mac. And with COVID eliminating all revenue for teams this year, there's no reason to add Gase to the dead coach and GM money pile. Exactly. When they don't have the revenue. And we have an easy way to say, it's just $4 million. But that's how the rich stay rich, is they don't spend money they don't have to.
That's a linebacker. That's a special teamer. That's a DB.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a foregone conclusion that Gase is going to go. Like, and I'm not taking anything away from the conversation Lon had with Chris Johnson. But again, you can't, that very well may be the mindset that was being talked about. I tend to lean more towards it's a mindset of, early on in the year, I'm not going to dog my coach. I'm not going to throw my coaching decision under the bus this early. A fan is asking me about it. Of course, I'm going to back him. Like, that's kind of where I stand, especially with all the other press releases and statements. That's just how it is. You back up your coach. You don't create turmoil in your organization when you don't have to. That's why Joe Douglas is so tight-lipped, and that's fine with me. Like, it's all going to happen, guys. It's all going to happen. We're going to get a new coach. It's just we just got to ride this out.
Here's the thing. This is the reason why I have the angst that I do as a New York Jet fan, is because it took all of 15 minutes for Christopher Johnson to go from possibly hiring Mike McCarthy, coaching Sam Darnold, to hiring Adam Gase. And in that 15-minute span, and that's because he got a phone call from Peyton Manning.
Right.
Okay, so we don't know what yo-yo is going to call Christopher Johnson over the next 2 weeks and sit there and put ideas in this fucking shithead's head about who the next head coach should be. Mm-hmm. Now, you and I both know that at this point right now, as soon as the Patriot game is over, Adam Gase should be shown the door. Like, during the game, you should have an intern pack up his office and every other coach's office on that coaching staff. And at the end, they're all waiting for him at the line over there. And there's a line of yellow cabs. Here, go get your shit and go get the fuck out. You're fired.
Be escorted out by security from the stadium.
Find you a cab. Adam, you're the first one. You're
right.
Get your ass out of here first. Right?
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Lino Cortina chimes in. He brings up an excellent point, which is what I'm getting to. Feel we need to let JD hire the next coach without the Johnson twins getting involved. Yes, exactly. Because this is exactly what needs to happen. And this is what we've been saying for the last 6 weeks on this show.
Actually,
we've been saying that Christopher Johnson and Woody Johnson need to give Joe Douglas control to hire the next coach.
The reporting has been
don't go hire some independent organization. Don't go hire a headhunting firm. Don't get Charlie Casserly or Ron Wolf back on the phone so they can get one of their other guys. And this is what I talk about, where you can get some other guy's going to call Christopher Johnson or some other yo-yo, and he's going to tell him, oh, yeah, Ray Handley's out of work. Why don't you give him a kick? Oh, Brian Billick is looking for a job. Why don't you give him a shot?
Let's try Bowles again.
Todd Bowles just won defensive coordinator, defensive coach of the year. Why don't you give him a shot again? No. Okay, this is the rant that I went on last week with Jeff Micheletti. Okay, so I'm going to pare it down for those who did not get to watch last week's show. In plain and simple, the reason why the Jets are a failure is because they repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again. We've seen this for the past decade plus. And the only way that it's going to change is for Christopher Johnson and Woody Johnson to shut the fuck up, get the fuck out of the way, put your football people in charge, and let them do football work. Okay?
Great.
Joe Douglas is not going to kick open the door in Johnson & Johnson's chemistry lab and tell Woody and Chris and their line of chemists over there how to make a better tampon, or how to make baby oil better, or how to make baby powder or baby shampoo better. He's a football guy. Football is what he does. Okay? You're not a football guy. You're the owner of a football team who spends more time picking their ass than they do actually doing what they're supposed to do. So let your football guy do football work, and you just sit there, write the checks, and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he's not even a smart businessman, because if this is a business, which it is, obviously, then you would do something to improve your product. And these guys have not done anything to improve their product when it comes to this organization and this fan base and this team. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I used to always make the Jets fans are bugging out right now. I would always make that Snickers analogy. Another unfortunate side effect of hunger. We're so hungry for a win that we start acting stupid. We start saying stupid shit. We start looking for stupid solutions and dumbass outlandish wildness, just because we don't know what it's like to have anything in place that foundationally looks like it is good. We have nothing. And literally, we can go back to Parcells and all of that. We can see how it was built. I think that currently, and I don't know if this is far-fetched, but our front office, Rex Hogan and all of those guys in there with Joe Douglas, I think we've got a pretty solid foundation of thinking football people in those positions. Does it trickle down to where it is that now the mistakes that Chris and Woody have made dealing with the way that the reporting structure is and the way that the coaching situations have been handled, do they recognize what it is that they have and what it is that they spent all that money on, and they let it work the way that it's supposed to work, right? Something that we don't really discuss, because we don't actually talk about the Chad and the other guys that are in the office, Rex Hogan and all those guys. We don't talk about them. We talk about what Joe Douglas is going to do and how quickly is he going to be able to get the fuck out with get Adam Gase out of the way. Because currently Adam Gase is and probably will be for another couple of decades the worst organizational decision that we've made, period.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We continue to say over the course of these past few years, oh yeah, this offseason is the best, it's the most important, it's the most. How many times have we heard that? We've been hearing that shit for years, and every single year when we get our asses drugged, then we always have to come back again and come around to the next beginning of the next offseason and say, okay, yeah, this is the most pivotal, this is the most. It was until we lost Trevor. Now we don't have Trevor. Now.
Yet.
It is. Look, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that. You don't even know. My heart hurts. My heart hurts to say that, the kid's gone. But, just like somebody who breaks up with their girlfriend and then they go to the grocery store and they see that ass walking down the aisle and they just think, you know what, there's ass out there. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where it is that we're at right now. And what we can do is we can look at some of these other quarterbacks and we can say, okay, if we're smart about how it is that we build our foundation, if we're smart about the players that we bring in, if we're smart about the free agents that we sign, and we do it, similar to what it is that we did last season, because we brought back guys that were integral parts of any success that we had shown during that time, and we brought them back on minimal contracts, like Jordan Jenkins, like Brian Poole. Maybe just because the situation is the way that it is, it doesn't mean that we're still not capable of making smart decisions. Those guys are probably not going to be here next year.
Right, exactly.
Realistically, that's just the point. But if we're still going to have that same type of aggressive attitude going towards adding these guys in. And I just like Jim last week when you had the points about the free agents, Allen Robinson. Oh my God, I got a Woody. I'm just going to keep it real because that guy is a monster. And if you add him in with Denzel Mims, if you add him in with Jamison Crowder, if you actually get a coach who knows what the hell to do with Chris Herndon and Ryan Griffin, I'm telling you, man, we can have such a beast offense. We literally could have a prolific situation out of coming from a season where we scored 20 points, 2 or 3 times. We can go from averaging, 16, 17 points to averaging almost 30 points a game, literally like that with a few key additions. And again, these are huge ifs. This is always the case with the Jets. I should probably get an if on the front of the hat right here, because if we get those things in place, we are going to be a force to be reckoned with because we have foundational pieces. We have to be smart about what it is that we're doing. And the smartest possible decision for us to make as of right now is to get Adam Gase the fuck out of Dodge ASAP, period.
Couldn't agree more. And we're not structurally, as far as on field, we're not as far away as everybody thinks we are. Because like you pointed out, a couple free agents here and there, like go out and spend that money, get Joe Thuney, get Allen Robinson, get a Bud Dupree. I don't want Bud Dupree anymore actually because of the injury, but I actually think Yannick Ngakoue would be the best possible option at this point, probably the cheapest and best edge rusher out there coming available. But we're not as far away as everybody thinks. But like CJ said, the talk about it is all speculation until we see Adam Gase being escorted out of the building, and that's what we need to hope for.
I don't know if we've ever actually been the worst team in the league, right? I mean, if you really think about it, we've been bad, but I mean, we've always got guys that have been able to kind of show up and say, you know what, you got pieces. You know what I'm saying? You got pieces. We had Jamal Adams. We had pieces. We got Quentin Williams now. Quentin wasn't, Quentin was in question, up until the beginning of this season. I'm gonna keep it real. Coming into this season, it was like if Quentin don't have it, if he don't show up, maybe we might start looking at him like Leonard Williams and see what it is that we can get for him and get his ass out of here. Because Leonard Williams wasn't a dog. We drafted him early, but he wasn't a dog in the green. And the fact of the matter is that him being influenced by Muhammad Wilkerson and all of those guys and Sheldon, who, I heard Sheldon's name during the game today in Cleveland. He's kind of etched out a spot for himself there, but he's not a game-changing player like Quentin is right now. I mean, just think about that. He's not a game-changing player like Mekhi Becton actually appears to be. And we're still seeing, Mekhi have growing pains, but in between those few little aches that we get and those few little lapses, we're seeing him maul people. We're seeing him drag people and push people off the screen. So
Elfline too.
Exactly. So we've got some things to look forward to, Jim, to your point. But again, if Joe Douglas is not the guy to kind of make this work, man, we're going to be in trouble, of course, in the next couple of seasons. And I hate to say it because, again, another unfortunate side of it, I really want us to be good. We got too many ain't gots right now. You feel me?
Well, I think to your point about is Joe Douglas the guy, or we're all hoping that he is. I will fully be the first to admit that he has made some picks and some choices that haven't panned out. But I explained it this way earlier. I was watching Green Bean's stream, his Game Time live stream, and we were talking about it. And I said, here's the deal, guys. Because we were talking about Ryan Khalil, and I'm like, here's the deal. Ryan Khalil didn't pan out. But when Joe Douglas came in, he was dealing with scraps. So at least we struck, if we're going to strike out on that decision, at least he struck out swinging. At least he struck out he didn't strike out with the bat sitting on his shoulder. So he's making the moves. They don't all pan out. Some of them have worked. Almost his entire draft class is playing. Like, that's huge. That's huge. And they're making names for themselves. So I think we're moving in the right direction. And I do think we got, like I keep talking about the trifecta. I think we have one part of that trifecta. We need the coach and the quarterback now.
Yeah. Hopefully that works. I know the comments are going buck wild right now because I can see CJ going.
He's just like,
These guys are going book. I kind of did want to I wanted to touch upon something that I think is probably a question that everybody has. But I mean, we were talking about, and excuse me, a lot of what we were talking about earlier with regards to this game was that we're going up against a Browns team that doesn't have any of their wide receivers. They didn't have anybody, that had caught a pass from Baker at all this season. And we've got a few guys that are on our roster right now that we expect to be pretty good, but are also being systematically removed from the game, like Denzel Mims is. What the hell is Adam Gase doing by giving all of these possible targets to Perriman that should actually be going to Denzel Mims? I again, because I was a Robbie guy, I really did not like the Perriman addition. And I mean, I thought, the guy, he had flashes in those 5 games, but he had more production in those 5 games than he had in 3 seasons in the league prior to that. So, it just wasn't something that I was excited about. What the hell is going on with that? And are we doing damage? You think we're actually doing damage to Mims by not giving him the opportunity to kind of shine now and kind of giving it to Perriman? I mean, we talked about this when Rob Carpenter was here, and I think Rob gave a pretty decent political answer, but Perriman's a scrub, dude, as far as I'm concerned. Am I off base with that? I mean,
no, especially after today, I was heated at Perriman. That shot downfield, the shot downfield, it's like I even commented something. I'm like, yeah, Perriman's given up just like Anderson did.
No.
Like so many routes. I watched several routes that I can't name all of them just yet, but I did not see any fire from Perriman at all today. And I was mad. I was mad about that.
Look, and Robbie, Robbie has 90 catches this season, 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Come on now. Robbie was a one-trick pony when he came in. Robbie developed into an all-around wide receiver. And we let probably the best possible chemistry piece that Sam had, probably the one thing that made Sam actually feel like he had a legitimate weapon, and we let him go for nothing, and then we ended up getting stuck with Perriman.
Perriman showed me that he's a number 3 receiver.
That's one of those decisions with Joe Douglas. I have to be like, you know what, dude? Nah, that wasn't a good choice.
Yeah, he proved to me that he's a number 3 receiver, and that's all he's ever going to be. We saw Perriman ceiling as well today. So,
so we got some things. The whole Frank Gore discussion. Look, you know what? Let's just do this. And I mean, CJ, I'm not trying to hijack the show as of right now, but I'm just going to keep it real. I'm sick of talking about this team. I'm sick of talking about deficiencies. I'm sick of talking about getting rid of the damn coach. I'm sick of talking about all of this shit. Do we have anything positive to discuss? Should we begin to start looking at coaching options or maybe get into some draft picks or whatever? Because the excitement of being able to say we're going to add some new guys that actually bring fresh blood to these positions that we have so many holes at. I honestly think that should probably be where it is that maybe we focus. Because next week, and I'll just be honest, I'll be more willing to talk about football, or at least what the Jets do on the field next week, if we spank the shit out of the Pats. That might actually, give me some reason to smile and be excited about. But right now, man,
here's the thing. I mean, it's not like we want to poo-poo over this win. I mean, we secured the number 2 overall pick, so we are getting a high draft pick. But I mean, basically, what more is there to talk about other than we saw Sam Darnold struggle again? He didn't look great. Lowell Lichmore actually had a comment over there where Perriman and Mims had 0 catches, 4 in the past 2 weeks. Yeah, that's not utilizing your weapons. He didn't even make an effort. Lino Cortina chimes in. He didn't even make an effort to catch the ball. If he dove, it was a touchdown. Perriman can run.
Perriman can run, but so could Stephen Hill.
That's the pass I was talking about. That I was yelling at my computer.
Yeah. Look, this is what I'm talking about culture change and attitude change and all the other stuff. You feel me? Because I mean, we have guys that have physical talent, physical skills, but we have no one in position to kind of lead and put these guys in position to be successful. We also don't have, at this point in time, I don't think outside of Marcus May and a few other guys, we kind of got rid of our veteran leaders because we sent McClendon down to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay will be in the playoffs, so that's good for him. We sent Lev off to Kansas City. Obviously, they'll be in the playoffs. That's good for him. We sent Avery Avery went to the Steelers. Is that right? So it's looking like all of the guys that we sent out of here, all of the guys that were leaders in our locker room, all of the guys that were leaders on our field for the most part, we sent them to wonderful opportunities for them to be able to continue their careers in places where they have a shot to win. And, when you lose stuff like that, that creates a void in your locker room. It creates a void in your personnel. It blows a big ass hole in the team morale. And then when you got a coach like Adam Gase, I mean, it really, we've had a difficult situation. So that, to be perfectly honest with you, makes these wins that much more, I guess, special. Because when we have to struggle and fight and scrap and claw the way that we did to kind of pull these out, and we're talking about two teams that we beat back to back now that are, playoff caliber teams. And we beat them maybe not at their best, but we've not really even close to being at our best either. I mean, considering we've got offensive line that's still got holes in it. We have a 957-year-old running back who the coach is determined to get him, over a milestone that is probably going to take him another 2 seasons the way he's doing it to surpass. And that shouldn't be what it is that we're doing here. But this is what it is that we're dealing with right now. How do we get around this? I mean, what do you guys think was actually the silver lining that came out of this win today? I mean, we saw some sparks here and there from different players, but I mean, in general, what do you think was the most impactful thing that we could take from today's game and say, all right, going forward, this is something that we can look for, we can hang our hats on?
Frank Bush for me. I love the fact that interim coaches never stay the coach. Like, the interim coordinators never stay the coordinator. But from what I saw these last 2 games, Frank Bush has said, don't care. We're going to go for it. We're going to do what we got to do. And this is how I feel we can be as best as we can be on defense. And he's done it.
Frank, so, I have to admit, our defensive line these past couple of games, they've been pretty ferocious. And even without Quentin today, Franklin Myers is showing up. What's the older kid that we drafted at 2 sacks today?
Nathan Shepard.
Yeah, right. Let's say, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Because I thought Nathan Shepard, when we brought him in, it was a feel-good story. But also the production on film for him was pretty solid, considering it was even
rough his rookie year.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we have not only do we have maybe solid leadership out the line, but we also have solid depth that we can keep these guys in the mix.
Well, that front 7 is going to be absolutely beastly with Quentin Williams coming back next year, Franklin Myers coming back next year. Shepard's been looking good. Henry Anderson's probably gone. Yeah. But then remember.
I'm sorry.
Then remember, though, we also have Mosley and Patrick Onwuasor coming back next year.
That's true.
Right.
If they're even half who they were when they Mosley, before Mosley opted out, now Onwuasor was injured, right?
He better have the strongest groin on the planet coming back next year. Let me tell you.
You'd be bulging out of the pants,
dude. Get that man a bigger cup, because we're gonna.
So his ship better be bionic when he hits when he hits the field next year. Because if I hear any kind of freaking groin injury or some kind of shit, let me tell you, I'm going to be aggravated.
But just hear these names for a second.
What the coach is going to look like, because the coach is going to have to address that, right?
Yeah, but hear these names for a second and tell me that you're not excited about this. Quentin Williams, Jonathan Franklin Myers, Basham, Neville Hewitt, C.J. Mosley, Patrick Onwuasor.
That's decent.
That could be a top 10 front 7.
When we get Bryce Hall to add a little funk to the game. We can see what if Zuniga can actually add a little bit. Saw him get in.
He almost came up with an interception today, Jabari Zuniga. So he actually generated some nice push on the left side coming through. So it was good. I mean, we still need a pass rusher. Thank you, Simon Baccarella, for chiming in. We do still need a pass rusher, but it was still nice to get something out of Zuniga, other than a false start penalty on special teams. So
at least we know he's still here.
Right.
Yeah, he's still got a jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he saw some significant play, and he did some good things. Curious to hear what our guest who popped on, Mr. Daniel Corstein, has to say. So, Daniel, the floor is yours. Tell us your thoughts about today's 23-16 New York Jet victory.
Well, all I can say is that I think our temporary defensive coordinator, I like what he does. I think that he's got a game plan in mind. I think that he finds ways to put our defenders in a very good position, not just in the run defense, but in the throwing defense. Now, obviously, there's some issues with pass interference. I think Bless Austin, who's been okay, still needs to find a way to keep his hands to himself as much as possible, at least try to avoid the grabbing. But outside of that, when this defense is on top of the game plan, and look what they've done to Baker Mayfield. I mean, I've lost count of how many strip sacks they got on the anointed one in Cleveland. I mean, it was amazing to watch. I don't know, 3 strip sacks, I think it was. 3 of them. And the last one was a game winner on the Browns, forcing Baker Mayfield to fumble the ball. And no other Brown can touch it, but only Baker. I mean, no
other Brown could advance it.
Right, exactly. You can't advance that fumble if it's from the quarterback, I guess. But, I mean, that's unbelievable. This defensive coordinator has been fantastic. Now, I will not give credit to Adam Gase for firing Greg Williams. I will not do that. Probably was a hunch. But you know what? I'm not going to give him any credit. Because why? Because this team is still 2-13.
Yep.
This team is still basically complete fucking disaster.
Yeah.
So until Mr. Gase gets his walking papers, either from Gillette or the next day at Florham Park, I will give no credit to this man who does not deserve, no matter how many times he'll be begging for it, and no matter how many times his players that probably do understand that he'll be gone at the end of the season, he should be gone at the end of the season, will not get any credit from me at all. And here's the reason why. I can't believe Crowder has a quarterback arm. I cannot believe he threw that ball precisely right at Braxton Berrios and got the touchdown. Where in the fucking hell did we not see something like this in the first 4 fucking games of the season?
Right.
I've been begging for some shit like this. Where are the gadget plays? Where are the gadget plays that you need to draw up to throw the opposition off their game? And we saw nothing of it. Throw. Here's the gore. Throw. Okay, give it to Bell. He might have pulled his hammy. Nah, keep him out there. Pulled his hammy. Now he's gone for the next 3 weeks. I blame myself. I should have kept him. You should have kept him out when he first pulled the fucking thing. Not to throw him back out there.
Right. Daniel, I completely agree with you. I mean, if we saw the effort all season that we saw from the Jets, probably in the Raiders game, in today's Browns game, in last week's Rams game, there would be, the Jets fan base would still be pissed off, but you know what? At least we'd be looking at that there's hope on the horizon. Because we'd be seeing some younger players getting the opportunity to cut their teeth on live bullets, to make their mistakes, to learn from their mistakes so that way they can come back next year and they can be better than they were this year. But here's the problem. Look at the coaching staff who's coaching them. Now,
Exactly.
look, I understand that a player still has to go out there and execute. But you know what? If you as a coach are coaching this player and you still continue to see that said player make same mistake over and over and over and over again, and you do nothing to correct it, guess whose fault that is?
It's the
That's
coach's
yours.
player. Absolutely. And listen, there's no disagreement here, CJ. No disagreement at all. I have said this all season long. You want to blame some of the players for repeating the mistakes over and over and over again. You want to blame Sam here and there. Okay, that's fine. Fair enough. But once again, is it the players that are not doing the job correctly, or are they not being coached correctly to make these plays happen? And I will go with the latter, and I will take my, wait a second, it's got to sharpen the finger here, make sure there's a nice point, and I'm aiming it right at Adam Gase. The finger of blame is pointing right at Adam Gase and the coaching staff for not doing the job that they should be doing, period. I understand what everyone is saying, and this is what I keep saying. This is not a typical NFL situation. This is not a typical, we have a great head coach who is supposed to be coaching up or making sure that the quarterback and these great players that we're supposed to have to go and execute the game plan, but they're not able to because the head coach is too stupid, too arrogant, too dumb, too maniacally dumb for his own good, is not making the proper adjustments to make these players perform better at all. And you hear him crying and whining about, I hope I didn't upset Mr. Johnson. I hope I keep my job. No, you pissed everyone off. You've pissed us all off.
The reason why we were rooting for the winless season was because the games that we were supposed to win, the games that our head coach should have been able to lift this team and put this team in position to win, he did not.
That's correct.
What we had to do then is to kind of look at it like, okay, we need to fall back. And because especially when you're talking about Trevor Lawrence, because Trevor Lawrence was apparently the goal, then it made sense for us to continue along with using this guy. But I'm just going to keep it real. The players didn't deserve 0-16. The players go and bust their ass every week. They go to film. They go to study. They eat. They work out. They literally go out in the field and they get their ass kicked every weekend. And they didn't deserve 0-16. The problem is that the players played us out of the first pick because the players don't give a shit about Trevor Lawrence. Who the fuck is Trevor Lawrence? When we're practicing and we're hitting each other, they don't give a shit about none of that. So
exactly, and that's what I've been saying too.
The Adam Gase issue is really why, I'm proud of the players because they showed resilience. But I've been seeing just kind of in my phone here just a little while ago talking about how if we beat the Pats, then that's going to give Woody Johnson, an opportunity to extend Adam Gase beyond next season. And I'm just going to tell you,
I don't think so. Because
that's
I think
the thing. That's the thing.
That's where I kind of have my angst. And I talked about this earlier in the show, Daniel. I don't know if you got the opportunity to listen to it.
Oh, I did. I was able to listen while I was having my dinner. So I was able to listen to that.
The thing is that it's like I worry about who Christopher Johnson is going to have on the phone talking to him. And especially now with the Jets getting these 2 wins. And if they do end up going on to beat the Patriots week 17, Adam Gase does not deserve to survive after this season.
That's correct.
He should have been fired at the end of last season. I don't care if they finished 6-2. I don't care if the team started to show signs of improvement. I mean, and I get it because everybody brings up the whole contract situation and the Jets have to pay Bowles and they're paying Maccagnan, and Jimmy brought this up a little while ago. You know what? When you make a bad business decision, you got to fucking pay for it. So I wouldn't have given a shit if the Jets would have been on the hook for a third head coaching salary. Because like we talked about being a businessman, okay? The New York Jets are a business. Okay? You don't run the New York Jets like you run Johnson & Johnson. You're not making baby oil. You're not making baby powder. You're not making Tampax. You're not making Q-tips. You're not making any of that shit. Okay? You're playing professional football.
Damn straight.
Okay? So you, as a smart businessman, you bring football people in to handle the football aspect of your business.
Damn
and
straight.
you know what? That was the biggest problem with the Johnsons, because they hire headhunting firms. They reach out to Charlie Casserly and the Ron Wolfs. They took a phone call from Peyton Manning. They took a phone call from some other yo-yo who's probably going to suggest Ray Hanley or Farmer Fran from the fucking Waterboy. Okay? That's not what we need.
No.
And the reason why I wanted the Jets to go 0-16, and I've said this before on the show, and I'll say it again for people who may be watching for the very first time and maybe not have caught it. I wanted the embarrassment of 0-16 to follow the Johnsons for the rest of their lives. You know why? Because it's only that type of embarrassment. It's only that type of shame that's going to prompt you into doing something to change. Because the way that you've been doing things for the past decade plus has failed.
It has.
Don't give me Rex Ryan.
Nope.
Don't give me back-to-back AFC championship games.
Nope.
Don't give me any of that bullshit.
Nope.
Because then you had a good scouting department who could actually find talent. You had a good head coach in Eric Mangini who you showed the door because you had to go and you had to sign Brett Favre. Okay? Because it was more important for you to put butts in the seats than to actually, get an opportunity to have a competitive football team.
Yep.
Okay.
By having competitive football teams.
Right. So the problem with the Johnsons is that the Johnsons, they're obsessed with the back pages of the New York Post, the New York Daily News, the Wall Street Journal, whatever. Newsday. That's what they're obsessed with.
Yep.
Now, if headlines that the Jets had on the back of the newspaper, the Jets would probably have about 50 Lombardis. Okay? If that were championships, but it's not. Okay? Because for me as a New York Jets fan, I don't give a shit about the back page of the newspaper. Because the back page of the newspaper doesn't calculate into wins and losses for me.
No, it does not.
Okay? For you getting headlines on the back pages of the Post and the News, that doesn't calculate in playing playoff games in December and January. That's not what that quantifies into.
No, it doesn't.
So this is where the Johnsons need to pull their heads out of their ass, and they need to have a true solid business plan together and let your football guy, Joe Douglas, who has 3 Super Bowl rings, mind you, that's 3 more than you got, okay? And he's been a part of every single championship staff. And he knows how to build it. So give the keys to the car over to him. You let him pick the head coach.
Absolutely.
It's got to be run by you for approval. That's fine. You want to be part of the interview process? That's fine. Joe Douglas conducts the search. Not your fucking headhunting firm. Not Charlie Casserly or Ron Wolf or Farmer Fran or whoever else you're going to pull out of the fucking closet. Okay?
Don't call
Joe Douglas does your head coaching search. And another thing, too, and this is my message for fellow Jet fans out there. Don't worry about mock drafts. Don't worry about what the Jets are going to do with the second overall pick. Don't worry about who the next free agents who the Jets are going to sign. Don't worry about how much cap space we're going to have in the new free agent year. You should be focused on one thing and one thing only. And that is the purge of this entire fucking coaching staff. And until that happens, nobody gives a shit about what's going to happen next April. And nobody gives a shit about what's going to happen next March when the league calendar turns over. Because if you don't get rid of the fucking problem here, which is Adam Gase, then it don't matter what you do there. Because you know what's going to happen there? The same shit that happened this year.
That's right.
So Adam Gase is just going to fuck up more people.
And that
CJ,
is why. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jimmy.
CJ, I just wanted to point out that everything you told everybody not to worry about is like all the things that I do. I do the mock drafts. I do the free agents. I do the cap space.
I'll
Your segment's canceled.
I do some of the same things, but I do it with the expectation that Adam Gase is going to be out of here.
100%. As do I.
That's I feel you on that, because really none of it matters until they actually get rid of Gase.
No, I know what he's talking about. I'm just poking fun.
The reality is that I think, CJ, you make a great point in the fact that there is still a possibility that Gase is here.
Right. And that's the reason why when people ask me, so is Gase going to get fired? Mm-hmm. I can't say a definitive yes or no, because you have Christopher Johnson, who basically made a very poor decision.
Loves the guy.
Off of a phone call
from somebody that hates the Jets.
That's right.
That's right. With Cliff Kingsbury and Eric Bieniemy and all these guys in the building that year.
Yes.
Look, Chris Johnson has very much put himself in a position where he's going to have to eat crow on this. All right, because the fact of the matter is, if you can't, he can't come in and say, you know what I'm saying? This is the brilliant football mind, that I thought he was, and then have this season work out the way that it is, and then have him double down on it and bring the guy back. He cannot do that and expect any positivity from it. I don't know if he's insulated. We talked about this earlier about if he's ever around anybody that's a Jets fan or what have you. And to be honest with you, he may move in circles where he's not, at all ever having to
yes men around him
from the Jets fans or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that if he can't pull his head out of his ass, then it is so much more, easily recognizable that we have people in charge that are going to doom this franchise to less than mediocrity for decades to come.
Now, since you guys follow me on Twitter, I want you, if you have an opportunity, go to your Twitter, go to my Twitter, go to my timeline, and I want you to read something that I put out there. And I want you to either laugh, cry, or if you want to throw crap at me, you go right ahead, because this is going to be the truth. If Christopher Johnson, or even if it's Woody Johnson, decides to keep this poor, pathetic head coach as our head coach of this New York team, they are no longer the New York Jets. They are now, will be considered the New York Gases, because this man has basically lowered this team into a level that we have never even experienced in our lives. Forget the whole Rich Kotite season, the 1-15 season with Rich Kotite, because at least the players were trying and Kotite was trying. Even though he was bad, he was trying. This man has completely and utterly worse than what Rich Kotite did. And I'm not talking about the win-loss record. Oh, well, he only got 2 wins and Kotite got 1 that year. No, that's not the point. The point is that the man continues to coach these players into repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. And over and over and over again.
What's his record now?
2-13 right now for this season.
Yeah. But also the averages, because I've ran the numbers on this, the averages of like points and yards and defensive stats and all the numbers, I've done this, is Gase is still below Kotite in like every category except win-loss.
Right. That's why you got Jimmy, CJ.
This is the worst team.
This is the worst
100%.
team. Absolutely.
Statistically impossible to be better than Kotite's, or to be worse, to get better than Kotite's team, or worse than Kotite's team.
That's right. We got it.
Yeah.
He's in the ground.
Gase fucking sucks, okay? Gase fucking sucks.
Ground. Sucks. Completely fucking sucks. I mean, someone has to go to Christopher's ear and to his brain, crack it open, and shove it in his skull and tell him, fire him now. Do it, because this guy is just an absolutely sham, a fraud, snake oil salesman, anything and everything that it has to do with the National Football League. This man is basically having Peyton Manning laughing at us because we took his guy and made us the worst fucking team in the history of the National Football League. Period. Absolutely period. And when you get rid of a great wide, I won't say great, I'll say a good wide receiver, because I still believe that Robbie Anderson still has more to learn, but he still has great ability to go out there. And when you let him leave the goddamn door to go to Carolina, to let him play for his college head coach, and he's been improving every single year that he's been playing in the National Football League, that's what really makes me angry, that you allowed him to no longer be a weapon for Sam Darnold. Now,
we argued about this, and CJ, I'm sure you remember there are how many shows that we had where we kind of debated the merits of keeping Robbie and paying Robbie a decent,
salary.
Right.
Because I mean, at the time, what was it being kicked around? Oh yeah, 15 million guys not, and all this. Oh yeah, he's not Julio, or he's not a number one receiver kind of thing. But I'm just saying, like, okay, he was our number one receiver.
That's right.
He was our
Absolutely.
He probably still has more chemistry with Sam Darnold than most of the guys that I played with this season, to be honest with you, and he hasn't been here. So the fact of the matter is that all of that one trick pony and all of that nonsense, it gave the fans an opportunity to talk themselves into us losing Robbie. But and I'm going to repeat this again. Robbie was worth $13 million a season.
Yes, he was.
And just because the team was bad, that doesn't give you a reason to not sign the best players possible. And Perriman was a horrible choice. And Perriman, again, it's been touched on a couple of different times so far in the show. Perriman is not good enough to actually be considered in the same conversation as Robbie Anderson. And anyone that does is misguided and has no clue or is more emotionally invested in it than they are at actually what we saw on the field. Robbie Anderson's a better football player, period. Has a better route tree than Perriman, period. Look, I'll say this. I've seen Robbie kind of get discouraged, and I think being on this team is difficult to not be discouraged at times. But I haven't seen Robbie just completely like, you know what, I'm not even going to do shit. I don't think I've ever seen Robbie.
He's never done that at all, Kevin. Never, ever has he done that at all. Robbie Anderson right now grew himself. Fine, he was our number one wide receiver, but he was growing within himself to become a number one wide receiver. People have asked me about Robbie as, what do you think he is? You think he's a 1, he's a 2, he's a 3? This is what I said, and I've been honest. Right now, he's a 2. But he's growing into being a number 1. Not because he looks like to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Jets, because himself personally, he's growing into a number 1. How many times in that season when Josh McCown was our quarterback, did he make plays? Every single time making plays for the Jets and for McCown. And even though there were games where they should have won, okay, fine. They had a lead and then they lost it. But still, though, who was there to be that guy for McCown and for Sam? Robbie Anderson. Forget about the bombs against Dallas and Denver. Some of those great catches he made against, of course, the blowout last year against the Raiders and in Washington, and the fantastic touchdown grab against the Steelers towards the end of the year last year. Forget all that right now. Look what he did in the year that McCown was our quarterback. Look what he did even against the 2 games back-to-back. The Sunday game they lost to against the Falcons, where they had to lead at halftime. Great freaking throw by McCown. Great grab by Robbie Anderson to get the touchdown. And then it's Thursday Night Football, home against the Buffalo Bills. And as soon as McCown threw that ball into the end zone in the third quarter, I knew Robbie was there. I knew Robbie was ready to make the grab and get the touchdown. And I yelled for him. I was like, Robbie! And he caught it. Big touchdown. That's what McCown.
If I remember correctly, was it 971 yards in 13 games that season?
That's right. That's the one.
And then that was something specific because everybody was making the point like, oh yeah, he's not even 1,000-yard receiver. Yeah, he kind of was. Right. I mean, you really think about it. I mean, then you had Bryce Petty throwing to him, and Bryce Petty couldn't hit the off.
Don't you remember Bryce Petty?
No.
I barely. I remember his name. I don't remember.
That was the year before McCown came over.
Yeah. So, hey guys, I want to wrap this up for a second here because we got a segment for Jimmy. We're coming up against it where we got a hard stop coming up very, very soon. So, Jimmy, I had some homework for you, so I'd like for you to put that out there.
So now, CJ.
Say again?
You're a teacher now, CJ.
Yeah, I feel like it on this thing sometimes, over here. I got to put people in the timeout corner, So, I mean, it is what it is.
If I got to do homework to earn my bones, I'll do homework to earn my bones.
So, all right, rock and roll, Jimmy. It's all yours.
So we wanted to talk about, like Kevin pointed out, I'm tired of talking about the draft. I'm tired of talking about mock drafts. I'm tired of talking about free agency coming up because ultimately right now, we can all agree that it doesn't matter until Gase is out the door.
That's right.
So I wanted to go and discuss a little bit about what our best case scenario could be, keeping Sam Darnold, what the worst case scenario could be, keeping Sam Darnold. And as we all know, it's never the best case scenario. It's never the worst case scenario, but we'll find something in the middle. So I was going over some stuff. And I saw something that really, really concerned me. And Sam Darnold has played in 36 games. Call it 37 now. 37 games. He has 37 interceptions and 20 fumbles lost. Same story as what was on or throughout his college career. It's concerning. Okay. He is completing right at about 60% of his passes, just a shade underneath. But the turnovers, man, the turnovers kill me. The other thing that I noticed is in those 37 games. Oh, where'd it go?
It is.
He has been sacked 93 times.
Yeah, absolutely. He just got boxes right now.
Could make any quarterback gun shy, if we're being honest. You know what I mean?
I just put
that's a rough stat for me. The last one that really concerns me is do any of you guys know Sam Darnold's highest yardage game?
I would have to assume that would be against the Raiders, wouldn't it, last year?
No, it was actually against Green Bay in his rookie year. He threw for 341 yards. That's the most he's ever thrown
really?
for. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
3 touchdowns, no picks. Great game. That's been his best game. But that isn't that concerning to play 37 games and have 4 games total where you've thrown for over 300 yards. You've never thrown for 350. That's concerning to me. So let's look at best case scenario. We keep Sam Darnold. Best case scenario is he gets another coach. His third playbook in 4 years. We could see his ceiling grow because of that. But I think best case scenario, you're gonna see Sam break 400-yard game maybe once a year, in my opinion. He'll get you to the playoffs. Maybe grab a few playoff wins. If we're really, really lucky and all the chips fall into place, Sam could win a Super Bowl. That's best case scenario for me, unfortunately, guys, just looking at the numbers. I know, we all back up our players when they sign with us. And, the second Sam Darnold signed his contract, I was like, all right, that's my quarterback. Let's go. But the unfortunate reality is our best case scenario is kind of bleak with Sam. And I know some people are going to disagree with me in the chat. I know some people are, I even said, or probably halfway through the year, I even said, hey, Trevor Lawrence or bust. If we don't get Trevor Lawrence, we build around Sam. But I can't stay on that position anymore. He's just not consistent enough, and it's something that needs to change. Worst case scenario is we keep Gase and these numbers continue to go down. He hasn't thrown for more than 230 yards this year. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So, granted, like Daniel, I agree with you. A lot of it's on coaching. I call it a 70-30 split. I'm going to give 30% of the blame to Sam. I'm going to give 70% to the coaching. Because if you're not showing the player where he's screwing up and where he needs to improve, which Gase can't be doing, if he was, then these things we wouldn't even be talking about it. Then they can't improve on those shortcomings. And at the same time, you also have to remember that Sam needs to realize, hey, I threw that interception or I threw that incomplete pass. That was a bad decision. I need to do this. He's been playing the game for his whole life. He knows what to do. So worst case scenario, we're just going to keep seeing this decline. I shudder to think that we'll be, 0-16, 1-15, 2-14 next year if this were the case. But hey, if that's the case, maybe Trevor Lawrence stays in school. I mean, we all can hope.
He's got Jacksonville staring him in the face. That might exactly be the case.
It
is what it is.
Jacksonville's not necessarily a better spot though either. And
no,
I noticed that Jeremy Shaffer doubled down again, and Jeremy Shaffer's like, yeah, Jacksonville doesn't deserve Trevor Lawrence.
Well, Jeremy Shaffer is still an asshole, so there's that.
So, all right. So, I'm sorry, Jimmy, were you finished? I'm sorry.
Like I said, I'm wrapping it up right now, CJ. I think we're not going to see the best case scenario. It's not going to be all fucking rainbows and sunshine, but it's also not going to be all doom and gloom either. I think we're going to meet somewhere in the middle. If we're going to meet somewhere in the middle and we're going to be realistic, I don't see Sam as a Super Bowl winner. I don't see him as a league MVP. I don't see him as a top 10 quarterback. I'm not happy being our franchise quarterback. The same old story, middle of the road, 15 to 20 ranked quarterback. It's just not my bag. So that's unfortunately where I think the line will end up should we keep Sam Darnold.
Wait. Hang on, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on. Really quick, I want to get this on the air because, I'm just that kind of guy. Shout out to resident troll, Jason Rhodes. The fucking asshole from the deep over there who hides in his mother's basement and pops on every once in a while because that's all he knows how to do.
Jason?
Laugh my fucking ass off. Sam is a Hall of Famer. Until Sam is gone, this team isn't going anywhere. But CJ rides his jocks, so there's that. What? Listen here, you piece of shit, okay? You had the opportunity to come on this show and to display your football knowledge, just like your little comments you like to drop in the YouTube videos and all the other bullshit. Okay, so why don't you grow a pair? You already know the Zoom link. You already know how to get on the show. Grow a pair and come on the show.
Been here before, Jay. Come on, come through.
Get him.
Okay, come on the show. Good. So you want to talk about Sam Darnold? Oh, wait. But I'm a clueless fan that knows nothing about football. You know something, buddy? Until you move out of your mother's basement, why don't you tell your mom to take your cell phone away from you and your computer away from you for that fact, too? So let's let the adults talk over here, okay? Go play with the children where you belong.
I'm crying right now.
Call the cops on him because he's in a no.
You're killing the information today, and I really just want to kind of throw this out because I wanted to give you props because I agree with everything that you said, and you kind of wrap it up into a tight little ball there. Sam has the possibility of being a Trent Dilfer caliber quarterback. And if the team around him is great, he'll be good enough to win you the game. Or he'll be good enough to not lose the game for you. But in order for him to become a Trent Dilfer type caliber championship, quarterback, he's going to still need to get better coaching than what it is that he's got here.
Right, and there's no doubt that the Jets have failed Sam Darnold. There's no doubt. But you know what? Sam has not done himself any favors either. And there are Jet fans like Jason who just don't like Sam Darnold. And that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But you know what? The rest of us that do want him to be that franchise quarterback, we're going to ride with him until he fails. And you know what? This season he failed. So you know what? That ship sails. And whether or not if the Jets decide to keep him, then they'll go with Jimmy's plan like he just put out. If the Jets decide to move on, then they'll move on from him. But that's not up to me. That's not up to you. That's not up to anybody sitting on this panel over here. That's up to the powers that be.
You feel me? We didn't want it to be an emotional decision. The fact of the matter is that, and I think we talked about this a few weeks back also, is that Sam was approaching Geno Smith caliber bad.
Yep.
And we talked about four games, no touchdowns. More games with multiple interceptions and with multiple touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So we're getting to the point now where, now it's easier for us to be able to move on because he hasn't played well. But I have to say this: it is this one season. Like those first couple of seasons, he showed some things that made you kind of believe that the kid could be it if he had, some stuff around him. And this year, it's an anomaly. It's been pure shit all up and down. It really has been a nothing burger as far as this team is concerned. I was going to talk about this, but I know we're getting up on the end of time right now. But I was going to talk about the fact of the matter that Sam Darnold isn't even the focal point of this offense. Frank Gore is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Into that.
Exactly.
If you really think about it in terms of, this kid's role on how horrible this team has actually been, Jimmy's point about the 70-30 rule, I mean, it's legitimate. The coaching is horrible because the coaching chose to run the offense through Frank Gore. They decided to make the number one target Jamison Crowder in the slot, and then when he got hurt, they didn't have anywhere to go, so they ended up just not really going anywhere except back to damn Frank Gore. So if what you got is if you have a quarterback that has talent, who has skill, who has all of these things, and you're supposed to be teaching him how to get to that next level to be a better quarterback, why are you running your offense through Frank Gore?
And that is where it is coaching. And at the same, I apologize, Jimmy, but I was going to say this. I disagree with your percentage. I was going to say 80-20 coaching. But anyway, but that's the thing. And look, I understand and respect your opinions about you feel you're done with Sam. I have never jumped on anyone that felt that it's time to move on from him and bring in someone new. I've never gone against any opinions, but the point I'm still defending Sam Darnold is this. I personally feel we have not seen enough of him because of the coaching. That's it. Because of the coaching. Todd Bowles only had him for 1 year. Still wasn't enough. Even though he had some decent moments, it still wasn't enough for Sam to show what he really has. Here we had with the mono last year, and then when he came back, House of Fire and Brimstone against Dallas, still had some terrible games in between. The second half comes. There he goes. He's going down the field. He's making plays. He's doing everything that we knew he could become. And then the offseason was an absolute disgrace in the free agency department. We've had players leaving. C.J. Mosley, I'm not against that.
Daniel's frozen in time.
Exactly. And then we see a whole season of this year. How many players are hurt? How many players are coming back in? How many players were still not getting the game plan right? And at the same time, the offensive line outside of Becton did not keep Sam on his feet. And yes, he also made bad decisions too. Yeah. Sam is to be blamed for some of the bad decisions that he has made. I've never gone away from that. But I still feel he still has more to show and more to prove. If he gets a better head coach, a better offensive coordinator, someone who's not proclaimed as a brilliant mind or a super genius.
We don't need anybody proclaimed to be anything. We just need him to be a guy. We need him to be what it is that he is, or that his position says that he is. If he's a quarterback, be a quarterback coach. If he's a head coach, be a head coach. Adam Gase is a bum.
Right.
He has the title of head coach, but he's a bum. So the fact of the matter is that I think you're right, Dan. We haven't seen enough of Sam. The reason why we haven't seen enough of this, or excuse me, hold on. Let me clarify. because I want to be clear about this.
Absolutely.
We have seen a lot of, we have seen enough about Sam to question if Sam is going to be good enough to be.
That's fair.
We haven't seen enough of him in a situation that really does put him in a situation to be successful. That's what we haven't seen. The fact of the matter is, he's not going to. We're probably not going to see him here with the green and white in New York. We're not going to see him have the benefit of that. What we'll probably end up seeing is, again, the little Gase watch that I keep hearing about on Twitter all the time, where next season, next couple of seasons, he'll go someplace else and somebody else will get him, out of his own head and give him some weapons to work with, and he'll ball out. That's more than likely the circumstance that we're going to see surrounding Sam Darnold.
The last thing I need to say on the matter is Sam Darnold absolutely needs to go to some place, because we don't have the ability to do this for him. He needs to go to a place, sit behind a vet for 2 years. He needs to sit behind a Matt Ryan. He needs to sit behind a Ben Roethlisberger. He needs to sit behind a Drew Brees for 2 years and relearn his position. Because like I said at the beginning of the show, he was not ready when he came into the NFL. And he has been trying to build a career on a house of cards. And he's got to completely wipe that away, restart. He'll only be 25, guys. He'll only be 25 if they sit him for 2 years behind a vet and let him play then. Just let the kid rebuild his mind.
Yeah, that'll be his problem.
He will be perfectly fine. It's just not going to be with us. And then you're going to have the Jets fans, when Sam Darnold finally gets to the playoffs, they're like, "See, I told you."
I would never do that.
I know you wouldn't, Daniel. I'm just saying.
I would never do that. I just wish him well, and that's it. No, but I know what you're talking about. All I'm saying is, on my end of things, I would never do that to either you or to Kevin or to CJ. Maybe a little bit to CJ. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up on the end of the show.
I got to watch a Packer game.
Everybody that logged in and joined in with us, everybody that posted in the comments, even you, Jason. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being part of the guys that are interacting with us. We appreciate you. As we wrap this up, Daniel, once again, we appreciate you coming on. You want to give out all your social media information so we know where we can hook up with you?
Absolutely. Always on Twitter, capital letter D, capital letter F, EUERSTEIN.
Appreciate you. My man Jim, once again, you do your thing, brother. You do your thing. I'm thankful for you. I'm glad that you came. I'm glad that you do what it is that you do for us here. It really is a great help to us. But also, it's knowledge, and it's something that we can drop on the fans that kind of make sure that we provide them quality content. I'm going to ask you to do the same, brother. Where can we find you?
Well, and I want to thank you and CJ once again, Kevin, for being so welcoming to me, being a part of the show. I can't thank you enough, and I greatly appreciate it. And some fans may not like the way I bring it. Some fans may not like the takes that I have, and as you guys know, I am cold-hearted. I'm a Jets fan before I'm an any player fan, and if the numbers don't line up with the player, I don't need them. So that's kind of where I am. But you guys can see at Jets by Jimmy anywhere on social media: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of it.
Beautiful. Y'all know me. I'm Spot. Holla at your boy. I'm going to let CJ take it out, man. Thank you once again, everybody, for interacting with us. CJ.
All right, guys. You can follow the show on Twitter at CNC Jets Factor. You can follow me at JetsFan0523. My partner in crime on the other side of the glass, Mr. Spotty Blackman, at Spotty Blackman. Don't forget to shoot the show an email, weaponshotpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook. Weapons Hot has a Facebook page. Go up there. Our content is up there. Give it a listen. Like the page. Message us or message you right back. We love to go back and forth with fans about this team, and also leave us some feedback about how you think we're doing here on Weapons Hot. Don't forget to check us out on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Snowman Digital Media, Sports War Radio, and quite frankly, any place you get your New York Jets broadcast fix. Don't forget to download the app, the Worldwide Sports Radio Network app, on Google Play for Android and iOS for Apple. You can catch Weapons Hot and also a multitude of other shows that the Worldwide Sports Radio Network has to offer. Don't forget to also check out and subscribe to their YouTube channel as well, where you also could catch us as well over there. So, for Mr. Kevin Jackson, Mr. Jimmy Jardine, and Mr. Daniel Forrestine, This is CJ the Painkiller D. Simone signing off. We will see you guys when we see you guys, and I will leave you guys with still, in my opinion, the best chant in the National Football League. Peace, love, go Jets. Happy New Year, everybody. We'll talk to you then.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.